Welcome to Red White Redemption. My name's Austin. I'm a Christian vet. So I'm really fed up with the way where our country's heading, and I made this channel to expose things that aren't talked about on mainstream news. So I know your time is valuable, so let's get in and let's talk about it. All right. Well, the first story we're going to talk about, the government doing government things, is this. On Friday, I don't know if you guys were paying attention, probably not, probably because it's Friday and they always drop these type of things on Friday, but the governor of New Mexico decided in her great abilities and her right to declare a public health emergency where she's suspending the right to carry firearms in public across Albuquerque. I don't think the sheriffs are going to enforce this, but we'll see what happens. But this comes for 30 days in response of a spat of gun violence. Now, after 30 days, does the criminals stop doing scumbag things? Like, is there like a truce or a red flag or something? Or maybe this is going to be longer than 30 days. I don't know. But I don't know if the Albuquerque police chief said he wouldn't enforce it, and the I can't say that. County Sheriff John Allen said he was uneasy about it because it raises too many questions about constitutional rights. Now, this does have a $5,000 fine, and it ends in 30 days. So let's go ahead and see what she had to say about this when she was asked in front of a bunch of news reports. Now, this is a Zero Hedge article, and I think there's a tweet from Benny Johnson. But let's go ahead and see what she had to say.
Yeah. But your point is valid.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it
Of course.
to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute. There are restrictions on free speech. There are restrictions on my freedoms. In this emergency, this 11-year-old and all these parents who have lost all these children.
Now, keep in mind, this 11-year-old boy died at a Little League field, and there's just nothing we can say to bring that back. And honestly, things do need to be changed. I don't think restricting people's right to defend themselves because the criminals aren't going to follow this law, because if they're willing to shoot children, they're not going to care about this $5,000 fine to not carry a firearm legally. This is going to discourage law-abiding citizens to be able to protect their families and themselves, which is insane. But let's go ahead and see what else she has to say.
Children, they deserve my attention to have the debate about whether or not in an emergency we can create a safer environment. Because what about their constitutional rights? I took an oath to uphold those too. And if we ignore this growing problem without being bold, I've said to every other New Mexican, your rights are subrogated to theirs. And they are not, in my view.
Wait a minute. Okay. You're talking about crimes. There are already laws against the crimes, so how are their rights?
I got it. But again, if I'm unsafe, who's standing up for that right? If this climate is so out of control, somebody should do something. I'm doing as much as I know to do.
Madam Governor,
Yep.
do you really think that criminals are going to hear this message and not carry a gun in Albuquerque
Elizabeth.
on the streets for 30 days?
No. But here's what I do think. It's a pretty resounding message.
Do you think the people who are doing these horrible crimes is going to follow your law? No. She admits it right there. So who's this going to affect? It's going to affect law-abiding citizens. And they can't protect their families because she feels unsafe. And she thinks taking everybody's gun away is going to make everybody safe. Just like, making drugs illegal made drugs non-existent in America. Said no one. But let's go ahead and look and see what the Second Amendment says. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to secure a free state, the right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. I do not see anything about a public health emergency in there. But she says she follows her oath. Well, she's infringing on people's right to keep and bear arms to protect himself in her city riddled with crime. But, you know, there was some parts of history, if you really think about it, who had some great public emergencies, and this is from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum from 1933, the Reichstag Fire Decree. Now, it was the Nazis got Hindenburg, the president of Hindenburg, to approve emergency decrees, popularly known as the Reichstag Fire Decrees, that suspended individuals' rights of due process of law. And guess what happened after that? They murdered a bunch of Jews. So in the public safety, horrible things can be enacted like this. And there is a great quote by the Benjamin Franklin that says, "Those who would give up essential liberties to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." And I agree with him, because this is what these people are doing. They're taking away everybody's guns. They think all the crimes will go away. That's just not the case. Well, I really hope the people of New Mexico write their governor and tell them how against they are to this, at least the people in Albuquerque. And I hope the lawsuits pile up on this governor. And I also think if you get charged of being in public service and you overstep infringe on people's constitutional rights, the legal fees should come out of her pocket. The taxpayers in New Mexico should not pay for her legal fees or her attorney general to fight these laws. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please subscribe. Please like, follow, leave some comments. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of scripture. This is Ephesians 5:11. It says, "Have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather than expose them." So we're going to expose the fruitless deeds of these tyrants and expose them what they are. Thank you so much. God bless and have a good night.